Today I want to talk to you guys about a great arpeggio path that comes from George Benson. This is coming from his recording of Lately, the song by Stevie Wonder. And it's a really great area where he actually goes through two different arpeggio ideas. So first I'm going to show you those two different arpeggio ideas. I'm going to show you how to vary them, how to use them, and then also we'll apply it to Autumn Leaves. There's a few different ways you can use it. It's super versatile. You can use it very fast, like the way I did in the intro, but you can also use it at a fourth the speed and it still works great. So let's dig in. Now, as I just alluded to, Benson plays this ridiculously fast in this ballad. It's 30-second notes when he's playing over it. We don't need to do that. I'll show you guys how to do that very slowly. I'll break down the theory of it as well. And I think the fingering for this matters, so I want you to pay attention to this. So let's break this down real slow. This is over G minor. And very slowly, what we'll have is a D minor triad. Now notice the fingering I'm using. I'm using 1, 3, and then I bring my index finger back in. Then we roll that to D, just like we're starting another minor triad for D minor. Third finger. We roll that to A, so we have two D minor triads. Then we hit C, so it's a D minor 7 all of a sudden. Again, we've just used the first and third finger. Now here is where we make a leap with the pinky. I'm using the pinky for that. To the F, pull off to D. So let me play this with some G minor backing so I can show it to you in context. I'm using the Fieldbook app for this, looping just over Autumn Leaves. 3, 4, 1, 2. 2, 3, 4, 1. So that's the first part of the arpeggio. So let's talk about this a little bit. What Benson is doing here is instead of thinking of a G minor 7 arpeggio over G minor, he goes up a fifth and plays the triad and then the arpeggio up a fifth. So this is very important because normally, a few things. Normally we would just play the minor 7 arpeggio on the chord that has the same root, like G minor over G minor. He's doing up a fifth. Cool, you might already know that, but what I bet you didn't think about is combining the triad and the arpeggio. Really, really common kind of situation when we are really just doing this theory-based. And what's great about it is it gives us a whole new position. So instead of starting down here for G minor, with that kind of G minor 7 arpeggio, we actually get to start at the 5th fret. So you could think about this around this G minor, drop 2, getting all the way up to this G minor 11, or this G minor 7. So it's connecting across a few different positions that we normally wouldn't do. So especially when put into context with the West arpeggio path, which I'll do at the end, you really get full coverage over the fretboard in a really, really comfortable way. So let's break down these notes. D, F, A. Really what we have here, we have the 5th, we have the 7th, the flat 7, and we have the 9th. Notice we don't have the B flat. We're not even playing the minor 3rd here. And all of that, no minor 3rd. And no root. So we're avoiding the root and avoiding the minor 3rd. What Benson plays next in his arpeggio path fixes that in the sense that we finally get the 3rd. And it's two different kinds of arpeggio paths. This one, very diagonal across positions. This next arpeggio path is within the position. So we want to learn both. And I have a lot of lessons on arpeggios that you guys might want to check out if you're interested in this kind of approach. So let's look at that second arpeggio path. Starts right here on the 9th. Now Benson's combining a lot of things he loves to do. We have a little enclosure, 2-note enclosure to the 3rd. Think about this G minor. Then we get that pivot arpeggio. So B flat, D, F, A. Just like a B flat major 7 arpeggio. Ending on G, the root. So again, think about those as two separate possible options on arpeggios, and Benson is just combining both of them in this example. One of them allows us to quickly get up high. We can quickly ascend through that. The other one keeps us in position. Okay, now let's look at some different ways of using this. Autumn Leaves is a great example here because just in the same key, in the key of G minor, we can see how this same arpeggio path fits over multiple chords. Just from that first 2/5, C minor, F7, B flat major, well, you can play this same arpeggio path over B flat major, and when it transitions into E flat major, what's great is it all still works. So this is that key insight from the West arpeggio path. If you haven't seen that lesson, I'll link it below, or link it after this, is that even if we stop part way in this arpeggio path playing for B flat major, those notes would still work when we get to E flat major and resolve. So I'll demonstrate that. And then on the next 2/5, the minor 2/5 to G minor, we can also use this idea. So it's really, really comfortable to see when we're in this key of G minor, just that as an option. Anytime I want to ascend up fast, slow, however you want to do it, you can get through the guitar from this 5th fret position up to this 10th fret position. So let me demonstrate that. I'll play that first arpeggio path over the B flat major, show you how it leads into E flat major, and then again over G minor. The other parts I'll just leave space. So let's do it from just the A section of Autumn Leaves. Here we go. See, it's a major 7th. And then G minor. Let's do the other arpeggio path now. So just here. The G becomes the 3rd of E flat major. Now I'm back to G minor. Just trying to connect them both. So that's keeping it all just as G minor. But what I think is really, really helpful here, what I started to do when I found this arpeggio path, is move it through some of these different keys. So let's apply it now to C minor. And now then we get a few different options. We could do the one that we just did for G minor, but we could also do one for C minor itself. And in combination with that, there's no part of this fretboard that I can't quickly ascend through or play in position. And I just have a lot more, the fretboard seems smaller. I can just quickly access all of the stuff that I need to. So let me show you that over this 2/5. And I added a few other concepts in that Benson uses, like his 4-note per string, that tie all this together. All right, so let me demonstrate that again over the same 2/5s. Let's start off with the first arpeggio, and this is that application number 1. Now let's look at that second arpeggio path applied to the same A section of Autumn Leaves, and that's this one. Let's take a look at what that might sound like. Okay, so you can see how even on that second arpeggio path, I can move it up that minor 3rd, and it still works even though some of these notes may not exactly fit the chord. Again, that's getting more to this topic of creating tension and then releasing it in the right way, being more important than a particular scale to use with a given chord. At least that's how Benson approaches it, in my opinion. So let's look now at how we can put all of this together. So for this last example, I'm going to combine the Benson arpeggio number 1 and Benson arpeggio number 2. If you guys want the PDF for this lesson, you can get it for free. Just sign up at the Jazz Guitar Vault down below, and you guys can get access to this as well as all of the other PDFs for all of my other YouTube lessons. So it's a great resource that I'm continually adding to. Coming up, we do have the 3rd phase of the Master Improvisation Blueprint starting inside Chase's Guitar Academy. That starts April 6th. You can start with the cohort, start with everybody. It's really a great time to start with other people, super motivating, and you'll just find you'll make a ton of progress. This topic is chromaticism. So we're going to talk about continuous chromaticism, like what Benson uses all the time. And we'll also talk about 2-note enclosures and 3-note enclosures. So the basic chromaticism intentions that are used all the time. This is usually what's missing when I hear intermediate players playing with a scale approach or an arpeggio-based approach. They tend to miss the chromaticism that really makes their playing sound like jazz. So if that sounds like you can check it out, 7-day free trial, starting very, very soon. All right, so let's play this last example with both arpeggios combined. Also, if you're into this lesson, let me know in the comments. There is another descending arpeggio path that Benson does here. And if you guys are interested in this, if this gets, say, more than 10K views, then I'll do another lesson on the descending path for these arpeggios. Different than the ascending path. All right, that's enough talking. Let's play this last example. 3, 4, 1. All right, so there's some examples. I'm just trying to combine all of these different arpeggio paths in the different keys just to show you how you might do that. Again, if you guys want to check this out, check out Jazz Guitar Vault down below. Leave me a comment, hit like, subscribe to the channel. You guys know what to do here on YouTube. I'll see you guys in the next video. Check out either of these if you guys want to learn more about the arpeggio paths or Benson's approach to playing. See you guys in the next one.